and a very good day to Dr. Fawaz. Today, I will be presenting about the first Malaysian plan, also known as Rancangan Malaysia Pertama. This plan was a major step in guiding Malaysia development right after the formation of our country. RMK1 was introduced after Malaysia was officially formed in 1963. During that time, Malaysia was still new and facing many social and economic challenges. Because of this, the government created RMK1 as a structure plan to guide the nation's development. RMK1 was implemented between 1960 until 1970. This plan actually followed previous Malaya plans such as 5-year plan and second Malaya plan. These early plans focused mainly on the peninsula, so RMK1 was important because it brought Sabah and Sarawak into the national development process. The main aim was very clear, which is to reduce poverty and develop rural areas. Under this plan, the government focused heavily on several key sectors such as economic growth, infrastructure, agriculture, and education. For education, schools were built in rural areas so that children will have better access to education.
Economic direction refers to the main focus area and strategy that the government plans to guide Malaysian economic growth. Under RMK1, there are 4 main economic directions. First, RMK1 focuses on diversifying the economy, which is reduce dependence on rubber and tin by promoting new agriculture and developing import substituting industry. They also encourage industrialization through private sector investment, tax incentive, and industrial estate. It helps to develop manufacturing to produce goods locally that were previously imported. Next, RMK1 aims to strengthen the country's economic foundation. This includes heavy investment in infrastructure like roads, ports, electricity, water, and telecommunication. At the same time, they work to expand agricultural productivity through land development, irrigation, and rubber liberating. And because there was a shortage of skilled workers, the plan also prioritized education and training. Moving on, another key direction was promoting social equity and rural development. The government focused on rural development to reduce poverty and regional disparities. It also helps to expand health, housing, and social service, especially in rural areas. Lastly, RMK1 also aims to manage macroeconomic stability. The government mobilized domestic saving and also seek foreign loans and grants to finance development. They also maintain fiscal discipline to avoid problems like inflation, balance of payment issues, and they encourage both local and foreign private investment to support economic growth. So that's my part for the economic direction of RMK1.
Today I will briefly explain the key policies introduced under the first Malaysia Plan, RMK1 from 1966 to 1970, which aimed to boost economic growth and modernize the country. First, agriculture and rural development was a major focus because most Malaysians live in rural areas. The government expanded FALDA, land settlement schemes to help landless farmers grow rubber and palm oil. The rubber replanting scheme provided subsidies for high-yield rubber trees and BIE1009, supported rural Malays with training and business loan. This program increased rural income and strengthened Malaysia's export crops. Second, the government pushed industrial development to diversify the economy. MIDA was established to coordinate industrial investment, while small-scale industries receive training and financing through State Economic Development Corporation. To attract investors, the government offered tax holiday, low-interest loan, and support for joint ventures. Third, RMK1 invested heavily in infrastructure and transport. Port Swettenham and Penang Port were upgraded, airports were improved, and more than 3,000 miles of road were built to connect rural areas to markets. Railways were also modernized to support trade and mobility. So next, education and human resource development play a key role. More teacher training colleges, technical schools and private schools were built to create a skilled workforce. RMK1 also introduced health and social services improvement, including rural clinics, social welfare assistance and nationwide malaria eradication campaign. Lastly, in housing and urban development, the government upgraded new villages, built low-cost housing and new towns to support urban growth.
For the economic focus of the first Malaysian plan, RMK1 is to reduce the poverty. So the main aim was to raise the income of the rural communities, especially for the farmers, rural smallholder, by giving them more support and better facilities for them. For example, is the land development under FELDA to provide them the land and housing for the landless families. The second thing is to developing the rural areas. So a large part of the budget went to improving the rural infrastructure such as road, water supply, schools, health clinics to help the countryside catch up with the urban areas. For example, is construction of rural roads, bridge and village to access routes to connect the farmers to the market, as well as clinics and school. For the third one is agriculture as the main sector. So since Malaysia was still heavily dependent on agriculture, so RMK1 focused on increasing the production of the agriculture itself, such as rubber, rice and other crops. So land scan is also introduced. So the example for this is the expansion of oil palm plantation, which later became the Malaysian top export. Also focus on the human capital development. So Malaysia are focused on improving the education and skill to build a more capable workforce that could support the modern agriculture and new industry. For example, the expansion of vocational school and technical training centers. So the fifth one is to creating the more job opportunities. So the plan aim to reduce the unemployment by creating jobs in agriculture, public works and also early industrial activities. So for example is the small-scale industry offered opportunity to the semi-skilled workers and jobs created in road construction, irrigation project and rural infrastructure. So the last focus of the RMK1 is the beginning of industrial development. So also the agriculture was the main priority for this RMK1, but it also encouraged early industrial growth through the incentive of manufacturers and the establishment of the industrial estate. For example is the encouragement of small manufacturing businesses in textile, furniture, as well as to provide the consumer goods.
Okay, now let us look at the official perspective, particularly how the government, Dom Abdul Razak, built the first Malaysia plan. According to the government of Malaysia, the first Malaysia plan RMK1 was designed as the nation's earliest comprehensive development blueprint, focusing on rural development, infrastructure expansion, poverty reduction, and national integration across Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. Dr. Abdul Razak emphasized in Parliament that RMK1 represents a determinational effort to uplift rural communities, improve education and health service, and establish the foundation of a Malaysia economy. Next, I will share the overall assessment of RMK1 by an international institution, which is World Bank. The World Bank retrospective assessment notes that RMK1 played a crucial role in strengthening Malaysia's early economic foundation by expanding agriculture, export capacity, and physical infrastructure. The report acknowledges that the plan contributed to stable growth, but also highlights that distribution challenges, especially income inequality, were not yet fully addressed during the RMK1 period. Next, I will move on what are the critiques of RMK1. The first one is over-dependent on agriculture. The economy depended a lot on products like rubber and tin. So when world price changed, the country's income was easily affected. Second is industrialization was slow and not diversified. Industrial growth was slow and not varied. Most factories were small and only did basic processing, which limited productivity and new technology development. The third one is the economic gap between ethnic groups is still obvious. There were still income inequality and unequal economic opportunities, especially between Malays in rural areas and Chinese in cities. This makes social unity more difficult. And the last critique is high cost of rural development. Implementing infrastructure projects such as roads, school and health facilities requires substantial funding, placing a heavy financial burden on the young nation.
Hello guys, what do you all think about RMK1? Do you guys think it was a successful plan or not?
For me, RMK1 was a good start for Malaysia because it focused on what the country needed the most at that time. Many rural villages finally got basic facilities like proper road and clean water. Education and healthcare improved, giving more opportunities to people outside the city. So I think RMK1 build a strong foundation future developments.
In my opinion, I agree that RMK1 has benefit, but it still have major weakness, such as many rural family were still poor even after the plan was ended. So they also have a big economic gap between ethnic group, and RMK1 did not solve that problem. Another issue is that Malaysia was still too dependent on rubber and tin, making our economy weak when rural price dropped. So the plan didn't diversify the economy enough, is my point.
Those weaknesses are true, but you also have to consider the situation at that time. Malaysia was still recovering from early political challenges.
So RMK1 focus on stability and basic development first. It may not have solved everything, but it moved the country in the right direction.
So overall, RMK1 was a foundation plan, not perfect but important for Malaysia long-term growth. Thank you for the discussion. Finally, I can understand it better. I think we cover the both strengths and also weaknesses clearly.